Welcome back to the show. Recently, Roe versus Wade, which is a landmark Supreme Court decision protecting a person's right to an abortion without excessive restrictions, has been functionally overturned in the state of Texas. Now, the state Senate Bill 8 is one of the most restrictive abortion bans to be signed into law, banning all abortions banning all abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, including the cases of rape and incest, and allows any person to sue anyone who helps a woman in Texas seek an abortion. Joining me now to share a little bit more and talk about this is the founder of lead advocate at the Federation of International Gender and Human Rights, Dr. Ameena Ali. My sister is back, and good to have you back.
It's great to be here. Yes, I'm excited about this topic because it's a hot button topic, so I'm right there.
Yeah, that was a hot button topic. I know it's near and dear to your heart when we talk about this. And so when we look at the Texas bill that's actually out there on the table right now, give me your reaction.
Well, we don't call it Bill 8. We call it Bill Hate. And that is just what it inspires. It inspires a demographic of women that will no longer get access to proper mental health care and medical health care. And why do we say mental health? Mental health is because making that decision to even get to an abortion requires counseling. Now, there's agencies and houses of worship that want to be in the forefront of this, but they're doing it in the better interest of this overturning Roe v. Wade. So if they have so many houses of worship and they have so many agencies that are working toward Roe v. Wade, they'll be able to use that as analytics to be able to overturn it completely and start the process federally to get it overturned throughout the United States. That is going to make more women inaccessible to proper health care. It's not going to stop abortion. It's just going to kill more women. And already women, especially those women that are in vulnerable situations and populations, are already on the down slope of that number of getting solutions and betterment. And we're just going to have more women doing backyard abortions that we used to do back in the 20s and 30s before all of this happened. So this is where our measure has to be. You have to do this intelligently.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with some people and we were talking about this particular matter right here. And they said, well, listen, the state of Texas can actually outlaw it. But if it is become outlawed, women do have choices and they can go across literally state borders where the things are less restrictive. But to actually have that to go into effect in a state would be crippling.
It would be. Demographically, it would be crippling because all medical doctors, especially those like myself that are in obstetric and gynecology, we have that forefront. Now I'm retired and I got out right in time. I got in right before COVID, so I'm good. But those are my colleagues that are deciding to stay on past 30 years that really want to get into an office setting and maybe a private practice. They're now limited because if they decide to move to Texas, which oddly enough has one of the cheaper rates for insurance, so there's the draw. And then you get there and you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. So it's like, what am I doing? Why am I here? And then if you go to the neighboring states to be affordable and accessible for the women that are going to be coming, you're going to cripple the medical know-how. Because if I, as a doctor, say, if that's in your right, you're healthy enough to have an abortion, you're healthy enough to go through the abortion, and I recommend you to go for one, I now can get sued. I mean, heck, your Uber driver that drives you to the abortion can get sued. So under this, Bill Hate, we see that this is going to be a crippling effect because even Uber drivers are not going to drive you to your doctor's appointments because they're not going to know what you're going to your doctor's appointment for. So now it's going to be a bit of a desegregation where the aspects and the opticals of what it is that we're going to be giving our women, which is the ability to go, is going to be looked upon as anything medical dealing with a woman could be an abortion, and I'm going to say no. So now the segregation is going to happen with, we can't get a cab in New York. Can you imagine getting one in Texas and you're a woman going to a doctor's office? It's going to segregate even more, and more people are going to be on the outs of proper medical care.
Any fear on your end, because we know Texas is leading the way in this, any fear on your end that you will see other collaborations with neighboring states to be able to bring this to pass?
Not necessarily neighboring states, but Texas is the red state. I'm just going to leave it like that. And other red states are going to be following if it passes and goes through that. Everybody's sitting back and watching. And they're watching to see how successful they are in Texas. And if they are successful, then they're going to say, oh, well, we're going to adopt that in whatever red state and another red state and another red state. and they're going to see the crippling effects. I was going to say the trickling effects, but it will be the crippling effects. But what they will also counter is more people are ready for this fight in those red states. There are people right now setting up right now as we speak to see what Texas does and to have a counterpoint for that. And they're doing it intentionally because they know what the momentum is going to be. As soon as they get to a population of a yes in Texas, other states are going to think that they can do that, and the people are ready for it. So yeah, the fear is there is going to be an internal fight, and we're going to win. We're going to win because there's going to be more states that's against this than there is for it. So we're going to win. But what is going to happen to the women in the meantime, and what's going to happen in the after effects of women still in Texas not being able to get the proper care that they need?
Yeah. I want to talk about Roe v. Wade for a minute because obviously for a lot of people, this is a huge concern. The possibility that we knew that this would go back to the Supreme Court again and possibly see Roe v. Wade overturned. As a woman, just give me your thoughts about what you feel like during a time such as this in our nation's history.
Well, just a little history so that people will know what we're fighting for. Roe v. Wade, 410, which was the U.S. docket 113, is a landmark decision of the United States Supreme Court, which ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose. Mm-hmm. It protects a woman's liberty to choose and have an abortion without excessive government restrictions. So we can go to separation of church and state. We can go to the human rights and the Bill of Rights and all of those, and then the amendments. And we can conquer many facets. But I wanted people to hear what Roe v. Wade really was. And I really wanted them to hear that it was an intentional protection of a pregnant woman's liberty to choose. So that means they're taking away the choice and the availability of the options in that choice. So what this bill 8, Bill 8 is it's saying that we're going to take it away and we're going to allow the government to say what you can and cannot do. That on its merit is going to have more objectors than they are pro forma supporters. But what we're seeing in Roe v. Wade is they're going to try to now say once Texas is successful, they're going to now take that back as a counterpoint for Roe v. Wade. They're going to say now Texas voted into this, and we could take it back and make it constitutional and make an amendment to Roe v. Wade and make it, and they're going to say this. They're going to put this out there. They already have it ready. They just haven't signed the bill. I mean, literally the ink isn't dry on what they're printing out now. But what's going to happen, and this is where the reproductive injustice comes in, is they're going to instill it until the government says no. They're going to continuously allow people to be sued and people to not get medical care. The transportation services are already boycotting. They're saying, look, we're not even going to attempt to go to a hospital in any way, shape, or form. You have private medical industries that are saying we're not going to supply the doctors that are for this. So now we're going to have less of availability and access of medical supplies and tools. We already have women that are saying, if I find out I'm pregnant, I'm leaving Texas. So now the economy is going to cripple because how many women are in Texas now that are planning children? How many women are going to literally leave the state just to have their child? Now, maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't, but that's money that's going to be lost. That's infrastructure that's going to cripple. And there's going to be the business. We're trying to recover from COVID, and they're causing more of a strain, coming back to work because now women won't be back to work because they're leaving the state. So I think the Roe v. Wade piece is going to take many millennia before that's ever overturned. But I think what we have to look at is what is the precipitating factors to start the momentum. And Texas is designing themselves. They succeed or not, that has for the people to say. But I think right now we're safe with Roe v. Wade, but Texas is trying to align conflict and great controversy with it.
Yeah. When we look at the makeup of those people who are actually determining and deciding what's going on in with regards to Roe v. Wade, and then also when it comes to this legislation that's actually passed, we know that majority white males are making a decision about women's bodies.
Right.
From your perspective, what does that feel like to have people who A, don't look like you mostly, B, are not the same, or are not of the same gender, to actually make a decision about an individual, particularly a woman's right to be able to choose?
Well, here's the thing. The joke in it, and I guess it's not a private joke anymore, But the joke is one of those senators, one of those governors, one of those policymakers, their daughter is going to be in a situation that is going to cause them to have to choose. And they're going to be in Texas and they're going to have to choose this. And we're going to say what options are going to be available for them. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Somebody is going to be the Bush daughter that had the baby out of wedlock and had to choose, and that somebody is going to be that catalyst, and they're not going to be able to take care of the child. They're either going to be on some kind of restriction of some sort, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional restriction, and they're going to have to choose an abortion as the best right, whether it be through rape or molestation, or whether it be through casual and consensual sex. It's going to be chosen. Now what's going to happen? Because now it's going to be a backdoor exception to the rule for their daughter to be able to have a safe and objective abortion. Why? Because these good religious, God-fearing people don't want you to see that their daughter is pregnant at 13, 14, 15 years old. So what is going to happen? So this is going to set the catalyst going. They've already planned for this in the states that support Roe v. Wade. And to know that first of all, any man that is talking about a woman's body should be ashamed of himself. And I say that for the record. They should be ashamed of themselves. If I have never had any male parts, you can't speak for female parts. And then vice versa. I can't say that men after the age of 60 should have a vasectomy so that they won't bring any extra children in. I can't say that, because that to me is taking away your rights. At 60, you may want to have another child. And who am I to take care of your rights? Who am I to take those away? Who am I to say what your family planning looks like, or what your family planning can abort to be? So for a man, especially a white man, they're doing this in the advent of the well-known mindset that they were born into, which is slavery. And they were told that they are the masters of all, and they can do this. So if you're born with this, why would you change your mind? What would be the catalyst and the encouragement to change your mind if you were born thinking that you can say one thing and get it done in Congress just simply based on what you look like? What would be the pro forma change? What would be the reason why you would change? There wouldn't be any reason. If I can control it, why wouldn't I control it? That's what I do. And I think we use the snake theory in that, you can raise a snake from an egg and it can get 50 feet and try to swallow you. Are you mad that the snake tried to swallow you, or are you mad at yourself for not realizing that it's in its nature? So we have to look at the nature of the beast that we're talking about. And the nature of the beast is to control and to make this population of their own. They're trying to reduce it so that they have more funding, and they're trying to eliminate those that are causing the problem of the increase in that population. So once again, our families are big, our families are large, our families are very able to procreate. And of course, they're going to attack us, and they're going to come to us. But we're ready. We're ready. We're not the sheep sitting idle anymore. We're ready for it.
Yeah, but the question is, will this new law become the standard? And I say the standard, when we talk about the standard, you have right-wingers out there, conservative right-wingers out there who are really just watching and seeing. Do we fear this at all?
No, because there's more of us than there'll ever be of them. And they're equally our part watching and seeing. There are those from the feminist camps and the people of color. We have the LGBTQ community that's stepping in here because they want to adopt and they want to birth and they want to have that option. We have those that are coming in from the far left, as we call it, and the blue teams or the blue states that are ready and willing. So there's more people against it than it is for them. And they always say, well, they have the money. Yeah, but the money only goes so far if the people are voting different. The money can only go to support what is in office or what is in place. If you have a demographic of people that are voting against it, there's nothing to support. There's nothing to financially support. They had all the money to get him back in office, but people didn't vote for him, so he didn't get back in office. So it's that same liberation that we have in the laws. And now that people are waking up and realizing that they have that power in legislation to vote and to oust certain things, they're using it. They didn't believe in it because they didn't trust the government, but now when they see that the votes actually matter, and this Trump, this last election really proved to a lot of people, especially seniors in my community, they really proved that their vote really matters. You'll be surprised how many people come out and vote against that. Even if Texas is the founding state for this, the other states will have combined already and said that they're going to filibuster it if it even attempts to come on the floor. So
right. So what can the average person do? I mean, obviously you're very boots on the ground in this matter, but what does the average person, what can they do when they see something like this going down?
Sure. Well, first of all, education is power and knowledge is power in that. And the wisdom to make that knowledge and education effective is what we need to do. So we need all boots on the ground. We need any woman that is of childbirthing years, even before and after. Even I'll even put that out there. I say birthing year because it's more personal. But any woman, I'm in menopause now, so and I put that out there, but I'm on the ground. But the understanding of that is everybody has a faction. You as a man can speak up for your children or for your wife or for whomever you know you value close. For men that are young, they can talk to their sisters and brothers and talk to them and tell them, look, this is an option, this is a choice. If this is what you choose to do, let's do better family planning. And then the parents can get in and be a better example. And I use this because this is how we used to teach our children. A lot of us wasn't educated back in the day. My grandfather and grandmother never made it past the third and fourth grade, respectively. So to know that is they weren't really educated in school. So it starts in the home. My grandmother came from one of 12. My grandfather was one of 16, and this is 16 individual births. So that means women were knowing what they're doing, and they knew what they were doing with the man that they were doing it with. They didn't have to worry about that. They had midwives and they had people attending. So these are the histories and the lessons that we have to learn and see what our options are. We don't always have to go to abortion. We don't always have to go to the extremes of that. We can have the baby and adopt it into our community so that the baby stays in our community and it's loved and it's cared for. It doesn't have to go to the system. That's another sort of demographics that people are putting out there. Okay, I won't have an abortion, but I'm gonna give it away. Okay, so now they're using the fact that they're giving it away as reason why abortion shouldn't be. Oh, because you have that option to give it away. Okay, let us choose that as an option. Don't take that away from us. So the people that are in the respects of sight, let's just put that optical. If you're out there and you're talking in the community, let's talk about this. Let's not use this as a conversation that we're going to do live on the air. Let's talk about this in the grocery store. Let's talk about this before church on Sunday. Let's talk about this after prayer on Friday. Let's talk about this in a community gathering and see what our knowledge is. And if we see that we're not knowledgeable, let's get people in to teach us and get this information across boundaries. You see how they did this COVID thing? They got information in all houses of worship in every community. If you can't go 5 minutes without seeing some kind of poster on COVID and COVID resources and the vaccine and everything. Why? Because it's an intentional education, and we have to be that intentional with this.
Yeah. I want to talk to you for a minute about that, just that itself, navigating through COVID. What's it been like for you and the work that you were doing?
Well, of course, people are asking me to come out of retirement so that they can have home births and not have to go to the hospital. So that was a huge thing. I couldn't tell you when I retired in February of 2020, March of 2020 is when they established the SARS-2 variant. And they labeled it, coronavirus, and the COVID was born. But I can't tell you how many women picked up the phone and said, Dr. Ameena, I know you're in retirement, but please, can you put me on? But if I registered each of those women, I would literally be having a baby every week for the next year, every week, because so many women said, I don't want my baby in an environment where people are going for COVID. And they were right. And they were so right. But see, I don't want you to knee-jerk a reaction into your healthcare. Just like I don't want you to do this in Texas. I didn't want you to do this in COVID. COVID is SARS-2. SARS-2 is what we had in the Obama administration. Remember when Obama had Ebola, SARS-2, the swine flu and the bird flu and the birds were dropping out of the sky, and nothing shut down. I'll just put that out there. And we have now the SARS-2 variant, which is now coronavirus, which has now been labeled COVID-19, and now things are shutting down. But as you know, it is the flu. The very treatment of this is got the flu, the regular flu. Go home, rest, relax, drink fluids, and eat as much as you can. And after a while, it'll go through you and it'll go through the family and it'll be done, and you will build up resistance because your body naturally builds resistance to it, and you don't have to worry about it. People that couldn't afford to go to the doctor did that. People that couldn't afford or didn't have insurance during the COVID virus, the pandemic, was able to stay at home and have all of their family stay at home. So if anybody got it or was a carrier of it, those 14 days of the incubation was enough for them to get rid of it in their family. Now we have families that are getting back out there, that are going back to work, that are going to school. Now you see school starting. And what we're seeing is women are still having babies. So they're still asking, what is the safest way for us to have a baby? And of course, you know me, I'm going to say stay home. But there are health, there's health anomalies that come into pregnancy, diabetes and preeclampsia and all of the things that may require medical treatment. So now you may need to go into the hospital. So how do you do that? One, if that is your will and that's your choice, you can get the vaccine. That's up to you. And that's based on what you feel is right and true for you. And then once you have the shots or the inoculations are in place, then you can use your mask and go into the hospital. You should be fine. If everyone in the hospital is wearing a mask, you're wearing a mask, you have the titers in you, and everyone else has it, everyone should be fine. However, there is a variant that could be out there that we don't know that attacks your baby. Why? Your baby is born with no immune system. So now you're protected, and you would hope that the baby's protected. It's still not finished. The testing is still not finished. I'll put that out there. They haven't finished all of the testing. They haven't tested on people with cancer. They haven't tested on people with dual diagnosis or comorbidities. They haven't tested on the newborn or the unborn. So we really don't know what this is going to do. And we wouldn't be very responsible if we did say it was safe for all demographics. That would be wrong. The COVID virus was tested on healthy individuals that was over the age of 18. And we saw that didn't have no high blood pressure, no hypertension, diabetes, didn't have any more comorbidities or dual diagnosis. And this is what it was tested on. So of course they're going to say that you can do that. But what about those with parameters of pregnancy and those maybe with diabetes during pregnancy? So now there's a comorbidity. Dual diagnosis, maybe you have lupus and you're pregnant. How are you being tested for that? So these are the things that aren't being tested as of yet. Maybe they're coming out soon, but they aren't being tested. And these are the things that we still worry about in getting this under wraps.
Before we wrap, I want to get a chance to have an opportunity to hear from you about you doing some work presently with those in Afghanistan and Haiti. Share with our viewers a little bit about the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, we give birth kits a dime a dozen, and we make them very inexpensively so we can ship them at a cost-effective rate. So we are sending now to women that are, during the catastrophe in Haiti, women were still having babies. So we were sending birth kits over. We were sending hygiene kits over. We were also sending masks and the preventive measures for the hand washing, sanitation stations, and allowing the medical professionals to have at least what is bare necessity until the running water was established, or at least until better hygiene and sanitation procedures were set up. In Afghanistan, we're sending tons and tons of food over. We're sending through Pakistan, they're actually rerouting it, the birth kits and the food over to Afghanistan, so the women are able to feed their children, feed themselves, and be able to breastfeed successfully, and then be able to get birth kits to women that are new to birth or those that are post-birth that still have to get their healing session in. And then, of course, we're doing our first adaptation of telemedicine, so we're getting the telehealth thing in there, so we're getting counseling session for postpartum depression and those things that come up after PTSD and their catastrophe. So this is amazing, amazing work. Cannot wait to get the data and analytics on this so that we can continue this in other areas of the world.
Well, Dr. Ameena Ali, we're going to leave it there. I thank you so much for being with us. It's certainly very enlightening conversation. Great work that you're doing out there in terms of getting people connected in Afghanistan, even all the way in Haiti. And love to have you back as things continue to progress. Got to have your voice here on the Social Justice Forum.
Yes, thank you so very much, Daren. And good luck to getting this out, because I really appreciate you spreading the word and getting this message forward.
Dr. Ameena Ali doing some great work. And yes, thank you again for joining us here on the Social Justice Forums.